Coping with Tre Tailor, giving you info and advice to help you thrive and survive in life, because we'll always be coping with something. Coping.
Thank you again so much for joining us on Coping. I'm Tre Tailor. We are streaming live on the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow and find out when we go live. Wednesday for Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. And then on Thursday and Friday, we're also streaming live on our YouTube channel. Please go over there and hit the subscribe button. You'll find 3+ years of interviews and information to help you cope with whatever you're coping with. We also have a presence on Instagram and also on Facebook. Hey, don't forget, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, we've got all types of information and resources available as far as financial resources, scholarships, and of course, where you can get your COVID vaccination and test. Today, we are continuing our series, Coping With Me in 2023, where we give you strategies to help you live your best life. And many people are living the step-parent life. 42% of adults, 102 million, have a step relationship, either a step parent or step or a half sibling or stepchild. When you add the 11.6 million stepchildren in the United States, that's 16% of all kids. The total is an estimated 113.6 million Americans that has a step relationship. And many of those are complicated. Well, today we're going to help you get through that with the stepmom coach, Claudette Chenevert. Joins us today. Hey, Claudette, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to this conversation.
Thank you. She's the stepmom coach with over 30 years of experience being a stepmom herself and a mom. The Master Certified Step Family Foundation coach works with stepmoms who want to create a cohesive family life and build a strong and healthy family. So, Claudette, before we even get to those people who are in a step-parent situation, let's talk about the dating scene. You know, before, you should probably be thinking about it while you are dating someone. Yes. So what are some of the things you need to kind of be conscientious about if you're dating a man or woman that has children? Because it's not only dealing with the children, it's dealing with the child's parents too. So what should you be looking out for?
So great question. And I think anybody who's considering this really needs to listen closely and take notes. So, you know, if you're considering dating someone with kids, understand that the time you have together is going to be divided between you and this future partner and their kids. And so are you going to be okay with sharing that time, that relationship, not only with their kids, but with another person, another home, where it's going to have some say in what happens to these kids? And so for some people, they're like, oh no, I don't want to share with anybody. You know, I'm the type who wants to have my own home, my own place. And so there are alternatives. Something that wasn't available when I started dating 33 years ago. The concept of, do you want to live in the same house? Do you want to live in separate homes and still be a part of the kids' lives? Are you willing to move to another location in order to be close to his kids or her kids? So moving, changing jobs, you know, your career may or may not be impacted with the bringing in the kids. Like one of the conversations I had with childless stepmoms by choice was that, you know, they had to either take a break or go on a absence because of the kids, their partner couldn't be home. And that created a lot of conflict. And so understand that, you know, it's a very different dynamic. You really need to ask those hard questions right from the beginning, because if you don't ask those hard questions, they're going to come up at some point.
They're going to come up. Yeah, they're going to come up.
And so conversations around custody, you know, what is the current custody status that you have? Are you planning on changing it? Are you planning on having the kids with you all the time, not having them? What are you expecting me as a person to be part of this? Are you expecting me to be involved with them? Are you expecting me to take over? By the way, you shouldn't. Just as a FYI, your role as a step parent is to support your partner. It's not to replace another parent.
That's good. Let's stop right there, because you said something that's really key. And I know that Lori and Matt, who are the Not Your Kids folks, and they
Yes.
mentioned this, that your role, and I think people get this mixed up. Your role is to support the parent, not to replace another person, which in this case would be the mom or dad, depending on, what the situation is. And I'm sure a lot of people think that a stepmom is a replace, or stepdad is a replacement.
No, it's not. And the thing is that, these kids are going to look at you. And if you're trying to replace a parent, they're going to either resent you. They're going to find all ways of comparing you to the other parent. And for most of us, being compared to either an or a deceased parent. I mean, we're talking about co-parenting with someone who is still in the picture. But even if it's someone who's no longer in the picture, either for different reasons, either the incarceration, they're deceased,
Right.
they no longer want to be a part of these kids' lives, you really have to let the kids decide how soon and how much they want to be involved with you. And so the kids help to bring in like how soon and how much they want you involved. But no matter, your role is you're not replacing any parent. No matter how you want to be there, or the kids say, I want you to be my mom, at some point they may say to you, oh no, I want my other parent, and you're not my real parent. And there's that other thing, like, how do you cope with rejection? How do you cope with a child who tells you, you're not my real parent, you can't tell me what to do? And so those are strategies you need to prepare yourself from the beginning. How do you approach this? And how will your partner be able to support you and be with you, so that you create a team, right? So that you work together. So these are important questions to ask yourselves before getting involved.
Right. And you're right. And you know what? I want to say this too, Claudette, because it's okay if you can't handle it. It's okay to say, I like him, he or her, they may be a great person, but this is not the situation for me.
Yeah.
It's okay to say that. And it's essential to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, because if you're not honest with yourself, you're going to not be honest with your partner, with the kids. It's going to eat you're going to eat yourself up in the middle. You're inside of you. It's not going to be a good thing.
It's not going to be a good thing. And it's probably going to the relationship will end up ending anyway, because you don't feel comfortable with it. So I think that's the first thing, like the stats say, over half of America's children are in relationships with a broken home, so to speak. So the dating pool is filled with people who have children, so it is a high probability that you're going to meet someone that has a child. But it's okay if you recognize that you cannot handle it. What were you going to say, Claudette?
I was going to say, because men and women are dating or getting into serious relationships later in life, we're focusing on our careers, we're going to school, we're getting, our careers or work, whatever, in place first, in order to then focus on the family. The chances are even higher. I read at some point, I think it was 73%, that when you're 35 or over, by the time you get 35 over, I think it's 73% chance of being in a step relationship, and a relationship where one of the partners has a child from a previous relationship.
Claudette joins us today. She is the stepmom coach. She helps stepmoms build and create strong and healthy step families by assisting them to focus on what they want as a woman, a partner, and a parent. So, Claudette, you say you should focus on what you want, not as much what the child or what the family wants. Explain that.
So, if you're not happy with who you are,
Right.
if you're not happy with your relationship with yourself, you cannot give what you don't have. And so self-care is so important. So many times I've seen women give up on their friendships, give up on their hobbies, give up on things they love and enjoy most in order to be like fully invested in this step family relationship, in taking over their kids, taking care of the kids, driving them everywhere. And so what happens then, and I talk specifically for women because I see this more often in women, where they will give up a lot in order to focus on the relationship with their partner and the kids. What happens at some point, resentment sets in. You're like, why am I doing this? I have no more friends. I feel alone.
I don't have my own life.
I don't have my own life. And so you need to understand what makes you happy. It doesn't have to be big things. And if it is, okay. But, sometimes it's just having lunch or coffee with one of your friends, going out and getting like taking care of yourself, either at a spa or going for a walk, running, jogging, exercising, taking up a hobby or continuing the hobby you had. So there's a lot of things that we can do as individuals to make sure that our happiness bucket is always full so that we can give to others without resentment.
Yeah. And, that's a woman thing anyway. We're such, nurturers. We care for everyone. We typically will, neglect ourselves anyway. And, when you are, when you love someone and you want to make it right, the tendency is going to be, I'm going to fall on the sword. I'm going to sacrifice me and take care of everyone else. But I love that you say, and this is just a life thing. You cannot, like you say, you can't give what you don't have. So make sure your cup is filled first.
Yeah.
Make sure you're doing everything you need to do for yourself so that you have something to give.
Yeah. And it's not selfish. I mean, I hear so often, I feel so selfish by doing things for myself. It's not. And the other thing I want to say is that when you take care of yourself, you are being a positive role model for your stepkids, and especially if they're from the same sex as you. So if you have stepdaughters and you're taking care of yourself, you're teaching this person, hey, you know what? I can do this. Because a lot of times people say, yeah, but in the other home, they're not doing this. Forget the other home. Focus on what you can do in your home, in your life, when the kids are with you, with the relationship with your partner. Your actions will speak louder than any words these kids can hear.
So true. So true. Claudette has been a stepmom for 30 years and a mom for 39 years. So stepmom coach understands what it's like to be in your shoes, and she teaches the best strategies to make life as a stepmom more harmonious. Talking about harmony, let's talk about discipline and when to say what to these children who may not be yours. How do you handle discipline when you are the stepmom?
So ideally, you let your partner deal with his or her kids. And I know it's easier said than done, because if you're being triggered, if there's something they're doing and it's like, no, it's affecting me personally, it's my things, it's me that I'm being triggered, then you need to say, hey, you talk about boundaries and set those up beforehand, meaning that, before you have these conversations with the kids, you and your partner are sitting down and having a conversation about boundaries, your values, your beliefs, and have a very deep conversation. Again, we're going back to the dating thing. These are conversations you should be having before you say I do or living together. And so understand that, if there are things that are bothering you, have a conversation with your partner and say, hey, listen, these are things that are acceptable to me. These are not. Like, I'll say, one of the things I hear often is the dishes go in the dishwasher, not in the sink or the counter. So this is an ongoing conversation I hear a lot of stepmoms having about their kids. And so at that point, this is something that you really need to let your partner deal with it. And if it bothers you, you either, okay, I'll put it because I can't stand it, or walk out the room, go somewhere else, go run, go jog, go take a shower, something, but let your partner deal with it. And when you're asking your partner to take care of it, you say it from, this is bothering me because I feel I'm not respected. You're not, these are my boundaries. I like to have a nice home. I feel like you're taking advantage of me. So just don't approach it from the perspective, you need to do this because it's an attack. If you're saying, this bothers me, could you please handle it? And this is the reason why, you'll have a better chance of letting the partner, the mother or the mom or dad take care of that situation. And you know what? You're going to have to repeat yourself. No one hears it the first time. It's an ongoing process. And so if you can accept that, I think you're well on your way of creating the kind of harmony you want in your home.
Well, you bring up a good point too, because, and you say the dishes are a big thing, but should some things just be, because what, Claudette, I'm just going to say this, and I understand what you're saying, but because everyone lives differently now, so I'm okay. The dishes got to be washed for me. The sink is okay for me. Someone else may be the dishwasher. The other home may be the dishwasher. How do you differentiate to the kids? Okay, this is what we do in this home, but now you got to do something else in this home. Is it fair for the kids to have to juggle rules and responsibilities, and the rules of the game are different regardless of based on who the players are?
Absolutely. And I think it's a good thing to help our kids understand that rules are different wherever we are, because think of it, the kids, when they go to school and they have this one teacher 1 year, the way of going to school and learning is very different from the other teacher. And it's And then when you're going to a friend's house, they don't have the same rules or regulation as your home. Like for some homes, like you need to take your shoes before you get in the house because I don't want shoes all over. In other people's home, it's like, I don't care if you have shoes, like walk around with your shoes. And so it's important to tell our kids each home is very different, and explain it from the perspective that they can understand. Like when you go to your friend's house, like Amy, and you go to Amy's house, her parents don't mind if you're sitting in front of the TV while eating dinner, eat dinner in front of the TV. They don't mind. In our home, we like to sit at the dinner table and eat together. And so help the kids understand this and ask them, have you been to a friend's house where things were different? And they'll probably say, yeah, they did this, we don't do this. Engage in a conversation to help the kids realize and understand, like, it's different in every home and it's okay.
I love that. And that's such a great point, because this is helping them recognize that the rules are different in life. And so to help you prepare for life, you've got to, recognize it here too. I love that. 50% of the 60 million children under the age of 13 are currently living with one biological parent and that parent's current partner. So that could be you. The Stepmom Coach is here. She offers online support, self-study stepmom programs, and one-on-one coaching. Before you leave, I want to talk a little bit about family gatherings and contact with the ex. Should we have a relationship with the ex, the other parent?
It depends. It really depends. And so the first thing is, I will say, if you're secure in who you are, because it starts with, again, taking care of yourself. If you feel secure in who you are and you're not intimidated, or even the ex could be intimidated by you, it's a matter of like, how do you see yourself? Are you secure? And are you looking for competition, or the ex looking for competition? So it really depends on the situation. It's not a one. It's not a one thing, one size fits all. Yeah. And so the other thing is really let the biological parent deal with his or her ex in a way that they, deal with issues. In a family gathering, I will say at least acknowledge the presence of the other person, nod, say hi. And I've seen situations that have transformed where the people in the room, the exes in the room, could barely stand each other. You could cut the tension with a knife.
Yeah.
And over time, because the stepmom I was helping, I said to her, understand, you don't have to go to the gathering first. You can, but it's an option. It's not an obligation.
Yeah.
So, you have that freedom. If you do go, show this other person like, hey, I see you, I acknowledge you, I recognize that you're here. And surprisingly, over the span of 10 years, the ex actually sent a gift to the stepmom in question and said, thank you for acknowledging that, I was here and I was still part of this family. You didn't try to shut me out. So there's always something that could happen.
Right.
This was a rare exception, and if it happens, it happens. But if it doesn't, it's still okay.
I think it's always the right thing to take the high road, don't you?
Absolutely.
Always show kindness.
Yeah. And because the kids are watching. Watching.
That's right.
And even if they're not watching, they're sensing. They're sensing like, wow, my stepmom or my stepdad is actually acknowledging my parent as a human being.
Yeah.
And that this person deserves to at least be acknowledged and some form of respect, and that, I see you, acknowledge you. These ideas of like, I don't want to ever have to do anything with you. At some point throughout the life, whether they're graduating from high school, college, getting married, getting kids, there's, or even at the end of life, if one of the parents passes away, we all have phases. And so try to just acknowledge their presence. And I know it may be hard for a lot of people. Acknowledge their presence and say, I see you, I acknowledge you. I know like you're part of this cluster of family because of the kids.
Yeah, because that will even have an impact, as you said, on the children. They will see that you are either being decent and kind and loving to my parent.
Yep.
And so, okay, that may soften their heart. But if you act ugly and nasty or whatever, that's not going to do anything but make it worse for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's your fault. You didn't love your parent. It's your fault. And so kids have a hard time understanding the whole picture because they're not seeing the whole part. They're only seeing what one of the parents is saying, or the step parent. They're only seeing bits and pieces. And so understand you have a bigger picture, and I feel it's your responsibility to, as you said, take the high road. You don't have to care. You don't have to engage, but don't be mean or discourteous no matter what the other person says.
Right, right. Claudette Chenevert is the stepmom coach. She's founder, producer, and host of the Step Family Summit. She's been doing that since 2020. And she also writes for Stepmom magazine. Her book, The Stepmom's Book of Boundaries, How and Where to Draw the Line for a Happier, Healthier Family, is available on Amazon. Before you go, tell us about the summit. Are you going to do it again this year, Claudette?
Yeah, I'm planning on doing it. And this year, the theme will be mindset. So I've done self-care, I've done defining family, and this year I'm working on mindset, because I think mindset is really important to help you have the life you want.
Awesome. Awesome. Claudette, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for all of this great advice. You can see Claudette's information on the screen. So many families are experiencing step parenting. You may be, if you're on the dating pool, it's a high probability that you're going to date someone who has children, and you want to be prepared. You want to be armed with the tools to go into this relationship successfully. And that's what we're doing here on Coping, giving you the tools so that you can cope. It's part of our series, Coping with Me in 2023. Claudette, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. So listen, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope, please email Josephine at booking@copingwithtretailer.com. If you have a product or service that could help someone cope, please email copingwithtretailer@gmail.com. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council. They sponsor Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping. Javis Financial Services, Palmetto Media Connections, the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, Attorney Byron Gibson, Agape Counseling and Training Services, Black Pages, Black Expo, the Comet Bus System, and Computers Unique Dutch Square Mall.
Coping, find peace of mind to survive through whatever. Coping, learning the way that we thrive all together. Coping, finding out what's real. Coping, we can heal, we can heal, we can heal. Coping with stress, coping with strife, bringing hope for success, for improving our life. Coping beyond hoping to do more than survive. Ways to live a healthy life. Coping and promoting, learning what you can do. 6 ways to a better you. Coping, find peace of mind to survive